Hello, fellow cruisers. This is Rose Forbes. I am a travel agent with Roseborough Travel and a cruise expert. I've been on over 48 cruises. I think I'm around in that range. And I am prone to seasickness. So today what I'm going to do is talk to you about giving you the Travel Insider's Guide to Cruising, talking about managing seasickness. Now, if you might be considering going on a cruise and you're not quite sure whether you will have motion sickness or not, there's some great techniques that I'm going to tell you about that will help you prepare before you get on the ship. And if you already know that you've got some issues with motion sickness, you can choose a handful of these remedies, bring them with you to be sure you have a fantastic time. Because a cruise is such a great vacation. It's such a great value. It's so easy to see the different ports, go to different regions of the world. And so if you think that you might be seasick and you think that might want to prevent you from taking a cruise, try some of these ideas to help you get through some of the rough sea days. So what exactly is seasickness? Let's talk about that. It's really just when your equilibrium is out of whack. You've got some sensors between your brain and your equilibrium that are kind of in conflict with each other when we're trying to figure out the difference between the motion of the boat and the motion of the earth. And when we're on the boat, that's definitely the motion that's going to take over first. So what happens is our bodily systems start shutting down when we start feeling motion sickness, and especially that's relative to our digestive system. So if you start closing your eyes, you want to lay down, you want to stay indoors, that's usually our first reaction. It's not going to help you feel better because it's important that we gaze our vision on a horizon. We need to get a fixed horizon in order to recover from that equilibrium disturbance that we've got. So how can you avoid getting seasick? I'm going to give you some ideas in order of priority. So the first thing that's very important in helping you avoid getting seasick on a cruise is picking the right cruise, and I really highly recommend, what I do is to choose a port-heavy cruise itinerary, which means I don't have a lot of sea days. At-sea days are fun because you get to lay around the pool and there's not much to do. You can really explore the ship, but it's also a time that if the seas aren't very calm, you're going to have a hard time. So I try to choose a very port-heavy itinerary because that means the ship is standing still while it's in port till usually 5-6 p.m. at night, and then it's gone, going to the next destination, and it'll arrive the next day sometime in the morning around 8 a.m. So you've only got the seas to deal with for the evening, and most of that time is going to be in your room, in your bed, so it's a lot easier to deal with than if you've got 2 sea days coming up after that. So that's one really important thing, to minimize your sea days, to make you not have as much seasickness to have to manage. Second thing is to choose an ocean view or a balcony cabin. Try to avoid an inside cabin, which is always going to be a more economical option, but you really need that ability to fix on a horizon, which you're only going to have if you have a window or a door to step out of. And the other thing about your cabin position on the ship, after you've chosen an ocean view or a balcony cabin, is to be sure that you're mid-ship, whatever ship that is. So that means from the front to the back and the top to the bottom, as central as you can be. That is where you'll find the least amount of motion. So that usually also costs a little bit more because that is a real desirable location for frequent cruisers who know best as well. So try to get midship and get an ocean view or a balcony cabin. Third is to drink lots and lots of water. More water than you think you can even take, because that detoxifying effect is very important and you need to stay hydrated. Staying hydrated is really important to your equilibrium and just all of your cells being hydrated, and your brain cells especially, when you're feeling not yourself, is going to really help you recover a lot faster. And it can amplify the symptoms of motion sickness if you do get dehydrated. Number 4 is to limit your alcohol and to eat only light meals. So try to not, at least in the first few days of your trip, to not eat a lot of heavy meals. There's lots of buffets, lots of great options for desserts and wonderful things like that. But if you're feeling a little ill, you probably aren't going to want to eat much anyway. But trying to avoid a lot of alcohol, especially with the fruity juices, the more sugar involved in that too, is also going to amplify your motion sickness. So just limit your alcohol and try to eat light, and if you do feel ill, eat as bland as possible. All the ships have some great room service menus that will bring you things like crackers and rice and boiled chicken, just to help you, get through whatever the seas might be happening at the time. Number 5 is to avoid smoke. If you're a smoker, it's important that you try to, not smoke as much, and definitely avoid areas on the ship that might have a lot of smoke, like the smoking section near the outdoor pool decks, and especially the casinos. So also another thing is looking at small screens like your smartphone screen or a game screen, even your Kindle screen, with your neck especially down. If you're going to be laying in a beach chair, it's not going to be good for your whole circulation, which you really want to be sure you can get everything moving as good as possible. So try to avoid looking at small screens, and use a real book if you want, but I find when I'm feeling seasick, I can't really concentrate on words on a page anyway. Number 6 is start your day with green apples. There's something in the enzymes of green apples, and not just red apples, but green apples particularly, that not only help with nausea but also help prevent hangovers. So that's another thing you might want to think about once you're feeling well on the ship. If you're going to be imbibing in some alcohol one night, give yourself some green apples ahead of time, and that should make it an easier morning. But green apples do combat nausea when it comes to motion sickness as well. Number 7, don't schedule any specialty restaurant reservations on your cruise if this is one of your first cruises, or if you think that you might be seasick, because what might happen is you're not feeling that well on the evening, and if you cancel too late, they may charge you some kind of a cancellation fee for the cover charge. So just play it by ear and get yourself a last-minute reservation when you are feeling well, and don't feel obligated to have to go to these fancy restaurants that you've made reservation for ahead of time. I'm also a board-certified holistic health practitioner, so I've got some really great ideas for you for natural remedies that have no side effects. And after I go over these, I'm also going to cover the prescription drug and over-the-counter drug options that you have as well, because there are so many things that you can choose from, and everybody's different, so everybody may react differently to each thing, but it's great to know that there are so many options, especially the ones that have no side effects. So I'm going to start with hypnosis. Hypnosis is a great way to retrain your mind to believe that you don't have motion sickness anymore. And I have done that, and it has been helpful, and it's something that you have to do each time you go to remind yourself of. But you can buy MP3 files on Amazon or iTunes and download them to your phone or music player and just listen to them on board. You can listen to them. They have daytime affirmations, and they have meditations for the evening, just to help you remind yourself that you don't have motion sickness. The second thing you can do before you leave is get acupuncture. They also have acupuncture on many ships these days. It's quite an expensive service to have, though, so if you've got somewhere at home that you know of or someone else can recommend, that would be a great option for you to go ahead of time for 1, 2, or 3 sessions is usually about what it takes to go through your energy meridians and try to release some different areas that might help it be a little easier when you do get on board and if the seas aren't as calm as you were hoping. But that's something that doing before departure would be most beneficial. Positive affirmations are another way that you can combat motion sickness, obviously with no side effects, but positive affirmations are just a way of reminding ourselves to think thoughts that we want to happen. So one example of a positive affirmation is, I'm so grateful to feel well and manage the motion of the ship easily and effortlessly. I'm sure that you can find lots of different affirmations online if you Google it, or you can make up your own. And this is something you can just say to yourself when you wake up every day, or when you start feeling the effects maybe of the seas. It may help just to remind yourself that all is well and you are grateful that you're feeling well. Number 4 is acupressure. A little different than acupuncture, which is related to needles. Acupressure is just a point that you can do yourself. It's a self-healing method. And acupressure, there's a certain point that is for motion sickness and for nausea, and this is on your wrist here that I'll show you. It's about 2 to 3 lengths down from where your wrist crease is. So if you put 3 fingers right like this, and right where that last one lands, you're going to take your thumb and you're going to press it right in between the tendons there. And if you don't feel it while you're pressing it really hard, just keep moving it up, moving it down, and oh yeah, there it is. So right in this spot is the place that you're going to want to press when you're feeling a little bit overcome by the seas. And you can hold this for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. And while you're holding it, a really great idea is to do some deep breathing. So 2 to 3 minutes, just do some calm, deep breaths. slow and deep, and you can do this as often as you like throughout the day. There's also something called C-bands that you can buy at the drugstore, and they're like little wristbands that you just put on, and they've got like a little bead that just points, pressure right on that point the whole time. So you can wear them on both hands or one hand, however you like to do that, but I think those are about $15, and those are nice just to have in your bag in case you need them. And speaking about breathing deeply while you're doing that, slow deep breaths are really great for combating nausea and for helping with motion sickness. And the important thing to do with your slow deep breathing is to breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. And the way to remember this is to breathe in the flower and breathe out, blow out the candle. Okay, and so what we're going to do is you're going to try to inhale as much air as you can into your lungs and into your stomach, not only your lungs. So you're going to bring it all the way into your belly. So we're going to do that for a count of 5, and then we're going to take and release that, exhaling it like we're blowing out a candle for a count of 10. So a longer release than an inhale. So we're going to inhale for 5. And exhale for 10. And do that at least 10 times. You could do it for up to 3 minutes. You can do this in the morning before you get up. You can do it in the evening before you go to bed. You can do it any time that you feel like it. And it's amazing how calming and how different it sets your equilibrium and your whole circulation just by resetting that whole breathing process. Because so often we breathe only through our chest. We're breathing so shallow just up here. And once we bring it into our belly, we're really actually helping to get the circulation going in our gastrointestinal area, which has really been shut down if we are feeling the effects of motion sickness. Number 6, ginger. Ginger is a fabulous remedy that most of you have probably heard of for motion sickness, and that can be cars, planes, boats. It doesn't matter what kind of motion sickness. It's not just for the sea. But the easiest thing to take with you is capsules. You can buy them at a health food store. They probably have them at the drugstore as well. And take about 500 milligrams at least an hour before you leave on your trip. And you can take them up to every 4 hours throughout your trip, just as needed. And a lot of times you'll only need to take these the first day or 2 of your trip, because you're just kind of more working yourself up. At least I know I do. Getting worried about and the anxiety of, ooh, how are the seas going to be? Are they going to be rough? Are they going to be calm? So once you kind of get over that hump and you've kind of got your sea legs, you may not need these remedies anymore. Besides the capsules, you can get candies that you can chew on or suck on, and they also come in a tincture that you can add to water, and you can also bring a tea with you and just drink that tea throughout the day as well. There's also options for homeopathy, which is a natural flower-based, plant-based remedy, and they're just little white pellets that you can buy at the health food store called homeopathic tablets. And the 2 remedies that work best for seasickness are ipecacuanha and tabacum. So if you can find those 2 remedies at your health food store, they're maybe about $8 to $10 for those remedies. You can bring those with. You just put them under your tongue and let them melt. And you do that 3 times per day, just as you're feeling the effects of seasickness, and as needed. So it's not for prevention, but it's once you've already started to feel it. Aromatherapy also has some great options for using essential oils. So the way that we, use our smell can have a lot to do with how we figure how to recalibrate our equilibrium. You can use ginger, peppermint, and Roman chamomile are some of the best remedies, and I like to just mix all 3 of them together and bring them in a little bottle. And I can get a little sprayer bottle, and I can spray that on my wrists, where I'm doing my acupressure points, or I can spray it on a tissue and just smell it like that, or on a cotton ball, something simple like that. So that covers the natural remedies. Now let's talk about the drug-based remedies, that all of them do have side effects. They are probably best at cutting off any nausea and making you feel better as far as motion sickness goes, but you do have to kind of go with the good and the bad. You've got benefits and risks with these things. So bringing some with you would be helpful, along with some of the natural remedies, and kind of going through a mix of them and seeing what works best for you is a great alternative. 2 of the antihistamine type seasick remedies are bonine and dramamine. Bodine is the more mild of the two and the least drowsy. Dramamine is very drowsy. I know that they have come out with a non-drowsy formula, which I haven't personally tried yet. But I know that the regular formula for me, it makes me dizzy, it makes me drowsy for almost 2 days. So that's a big recovery after I've taken a Dramamine. You also can get dry mouth from Dramamine, double vision, which I've experienced, ringing in your ears sometimes, and definitely constipation. So you'll need to combat that with some extra fiber and definitely lots of water on board if you're taking that. And the Transderm patch, that's the patch that you see everybody put behind their ears. And there's one patch you put on and you keep it on for 3 days, and then you take it off and you replace it with another one. It's called scopolamine, is the drug-based name for it. So it prevents nausea by and balancing issues by blocking the transmission of signals from your gastrointestinal tract to your brain to try to make sure that you don't get that uneasy feeling. So you also need to check for drug interactions. There are quite a few with this particular medication, and you definitely may have some some side effects like blurred or double vision. You may have dizziness, drowsiness, and dry mouth is a really common side effect to it, dehydration as well, and the constipation. So you definitely want to make sure you prevent anything related to that. So I hope that you found some of these ideas helpful to you, and I hope that it makes your next vacation experience wonderful. Again, I'm Rose Forbes with Roseborough Travel, and you can reach me by phone at 386-747-7427, and you can find me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/RoseForbesTravel. And I'd love it if you have any ideas to please leave your comments and share and like my page. Thanks so much. See you next time.